Hey, happy Good Friday, everybody. This is the pre-show, as you all know, if you're a regular to this show. The pre-show is that 4.5 minutes lead-up time to going live on air over at Odyssey Radio. So everybody stand by. We're just getting ready to roll. And I'm going to turn on our testing. That is not plugged in back there. Could you push that a little tighter into the jack over there, please, Ellie? To the clicks. It's the little round hole right there. There you go. You got it? Thank you. Somebody, the crew over on the backside of the computer. So I'm going to start the audio recording for tonight. Testing, 1, 2, testing. We are also linked up to the feed, to the radio station. So at 4 minutes and 25 seconds after the top of the hour, we will be live on Odyssey Radio. And of course, we'll have the captain's cabin tonight. I have sitting here in studio tonight Uncle Dave Potter. He's sitting right over there on the other side of the desk, linking up to his laptop, and we'll be calling him into the show too from his laptop. And so, Dave, did you find that link?
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Just have to click in, and I can grab it on this side. So we got 902-47. And so how's everybody tonight for a Good Friday? Hey, Steve. How you doing? Good to see you here. Barbie D. Master Finn, of course. Dave Potter. And I don't know if anybody else is quite in yet. Roger Rabbit, I see you there. Good evening to you as well. And they call it Good Friday, and everybody says Happy Good Friday. Is Good Friday something to be happy about? Maybe the outcome, depending on your theological, your religious beliefs. But Happy Good Friday. This is the day my Savior was killed. But I understand all the intentions behind that. All right, we have less than a minute, and we'll be going live. Remember, we go dark for just a few seconds here before the show begins. And then you will see. Yes, it was for us, Master Finn, indeed. And 56, 57. I got to put on my glasses. I lean in and squint when all I have to do is put on my glasses. I can see it just fine. 405. Okay, so everybody stand by. In a few seconds, we'll go dark. And then we will start the show at 25 seconds after.
Testing, 1, 2.
That's Uncle Dave back there.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hire my dad, so he can take me to Disneyland.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, happy Friday evening, everybody. Happy Good Friday evening to everyone. I'm so happy you made it here. Thanks for being here. Good Friday is one of those holidays where I think most people get time off of work in the afternoon and they're home for the rest of the day. Some people take advantage of that. I know people when I worked in the offices that they just wanted the afternoon off, and they'd take the afternoon off at noon to go do Good Friday services, and they didn't go to church. They just took the day off. So we all know what Good Friday is. Most of us do. If you don't, you haven't been exposed much to Christianity or Christian religion or religious practices or church. So I want to say hi to everybody who's over there. Niall Parkinson is here from Ireland, where it's got to be about 3 a.m. And here, I got to put on my glasses. I know we have Master Finn is here already, and Roger Rabbit, and Barbara Donica, and Barbie D, we like to call her. And Uncle Dave is here, and Grumpy Stack is here, and Steve Clark, and Matthew Sainsbury from Barbados is here. And I have Noah is Cool, YT13. Flynn stole my pencil in class yesterday. He's mean. Kind of, but he's really good usually. Well, thanks, Noah. That is a friend of Flynn's who is actually, how old are you, Noah? Are you 12? Same age as Flynn? So we've got the whole demographic covered tonight, from small kids to teen kids to everybody else in between that and death. So I want to welcome you all here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, Noah. We'll see if we can get your pencil back. So we'll work on that for you. And so I want to just kind of get into things right away because, he says, or ye. Are you speaking an old biblical language now? Ye. Oh, ye of the radio station. Thou art welcome on my airwaves. So good to have you, Noah. And everybody else. Ryan Gale is here. Good to see you, Ryan Gale. Glad that you made it in. You probably just heard my dog in the background, which is always so professional radio-wise. But then again, I usually have my children interrupting me. And I always welcome interruptions from my wife. So familial. Hey. Oh, Flynn's got a message for you here, Noah. What's your message, Flynn? Oh, whoa, there's something subliminal or not quite so subliminal there. We got Uncle Dave. I'm going to bring him in right away. Let's add Uncle Dave to the stream. He's sitting right over here in the studio.
In my youth, that would have been a glove across the face.
Yes. That's tantamount to it. I don't know what's going on with Flynn and Noah, but folks, you saw it here first. Niall Parkinson says, as a Catholic, I used to love when I was younger going through the Stations of the Cross. Let's see, I think that's what you said. Stations of the Cross, 13 woodcut stations all around the church, and we turned to all. Fabulously melancholic and somber. That's a good way to put that, Niall. I remember when I was a kid, my stepfather was Ukrainian. And we went to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church here in Minneapolis. And I don't remember the name of the church. St. Mary's, I think it was. But I might be wrong about that. But I remember in my mind going back to my childhood and seeing that sanctuary as you walk in with the altar up front. And it was dark. Lit by candles, lit by low light, and there was all the statuary and things like that. It wasn't Easter that I remember as much as Christmas. And I was baptized into the Eastern Orthodox or the Ukrainian Orthodox Church back when I was 5 years old through my stepfather. So there you go. Ryan says, oh, no, he didn't. I don't know what I missed there, unless you're talking about Flynn
I think that was the pencil snap.
breaking the pencil. So, and it's interesting, Dave. I get your voice in my ears, and I hear you delayed slightly in my. So I'm going to turn my sound down in there, and I'll just listen to Dave here. And so we're going to talk about. I didn't prepare any information tonight. I didn't write anything down. I don't have any notes to go from. I just want us to have a little discussion between Dave and I, and you in the chat room, if you can. A little discussion about Good Friday, a little discussion about Easter. And by the way, I didn't say you're listening to the Intrepid radio program, and it's right here on the Odyssey radio station. And that's Odyssey, ODYSY radio.com, where you can go on over and you can hear just the audio version of this show over there on the radio station. You can also go to Facebook and go to facebook.com/Odyssey radio. You'll find this show playing with the video simulcast, and there's a chat room because it's Facebook, all over there on Facebook. Or you can come over to the YouTube channel, and that's where I generally like to hang out, where most of my Intrepids hang out over there. Dave, I'm going to take you off the screen until that's all sorted. Yeah, I hear. I'm watching that on my screen, and it's going up and down. I'm getting motion sickness. So, so you can come on over to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And while you're here, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you can hit the little join button down below the window, and you'll see ways to join this channel. And so I want to thank you for being here. Also, let me do just a little ad. My wife, Rainey, started a sublimation business a couple of months ago. She bought all the equipment for it. And sublimation, meaning t-shirt sublimation, cups and mugs and things like that. She does things like this. This is actually Leslie's cup, which is still sitting on my desk, which needs shipping. So she does ceramic mugs. She also does the tumblers, as you know. Here's my Scotty, my Mr. Scott Star Trek tumbler. And so she's finally put it up now over on Facebook and also Instagram. So you can find her at, it was Mersquatch Tumblers, and that was so hard to say for people. And how do you spell that? And she finally just said, can we just rename it? Because she already has 2 loons for her massage. So she started 2 Loons Tumblers was the name she changed it to. So the numeral 2 Loons Tumblers.com. Or you can find it under that same name on Facebook. 2loonstumblers.com at Facebook, or facebook.com/2loonstumblers, or Instagram. And I think it's 2loons_tumblers, if I'm not mistaken. But you can find that all over there. And she'll correct me if I'm wrong. So go take a look at her stuff. See everything that's going on that she puts out over there. And I think you'll enjoy what she does. Roger Rabbit says, I'm listening to you on the Odyssey app, and you have had echo, and you have a bad echo on the radio. I can't do much about that because I'm all plugged in here. You shouldn't be picking up any echo from me over there. So I couldn't tell you what's going on with that. I've got everything set up the way they set up all my tech. You should be getting no echo at all from me, Roger. So that might be on the radio station side. My son came in and snapped a pencil in front of your face. I missed the context, but it was certainly comic timing. Yes, he has a friend of his came into the chat room. Another friend his age, a contemporary from school, said, Flynn stole my pencil today, but he's still a good guy. And Flynn came in and he broke the pencil. So that was either a joke between them or they're miffed at each other about something. Who knows? So that's what that was all about. Rainey was laughing with him over here. So I have no idea. Oh, it was from Uncle Dave's mic when he was on. Dave, do you have a headset over there? You're all set up. Okay. It might be when he's talking and my mic is picking him up.
That could be.
That could be. So you might hear a little bit of him. Let's bring him back into the stream, and we'll give it a shot and see how that's working. How you doing tonight, Dave?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. All right, guys.
How's everybody out there doing?
There you go. So Dave is here in the studio live, and let's carry on now. Let's go on with this discussion. No thanks. I'm doing radio, sweetheart. Thank you. My kid's offering me nachos. Yeah, I see your nachos. I'm glad you feel absolutely free to do that during my
As
live
it slides off all over the
national,
desk.
international radio show. So the kids have been groomed, believe it or not, that this show is now not something they can treat the same way they did before, where they can just walk in and out. But what do? They just walk in and out.
Well, it doesn't help that Uncle Dave came with bags full of sugar.
Yes. Uncle Dave came over, and Uncle Dave was the Easter bunny tonight. He came over with all sorts of candy, and he was like, you know what? I didn't bother with baskets. Come here. Here's a plastic bag here. This candy's for you. This one's for you. You get 2 of these. And so he distributed candy a couple of hours ago. And
I sent them a text message on Wednesday and said, "What's your favorite Easter candy?" Flynn is the only one that replied with what he wanted, and I gave him several pounds of that. And the other girls are like, well, what? And I'm like, hey, read your messages, respond. So
Keep going. Talk a little bit.
So I brought them candy, but they didn't get as much candy as Flynn got because he actually said what he wanted.
So anyway, we're getting a little echo only because Dave is in the same studio and not far enough away from me. So my mic picks him up when he talks, and we've got that slight delay on his microphone because he's hooked up right through his microphone over there and his system. Niall says, "Introduce us. Is this your brother? You look alike."
Brothers from another mother.
Brother from another mother.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is no. Dave Potter is a man that I've known for about 30 years, and there's Ellery making her presence known. Hi, Ellery. Okay, why don't you go do your own thing? I love you, but you go over there. See ya. And we're not doing radio or anything. So, so I've known Dave for about 30 years. We did Renaissance Festival together.
Possibly longer.
Yeah, possibly. Well, I think it was the first time we met, I think, was Chaska Valley Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Baseball team that Dave was shooting television commercials for. And we had another friend of ours that introduced us, and I did some artwork for him, logo designs and stuff like that.
That whole thing
all
was such a weird.
I believe that was 93.
Okay.
So it's been 19 years that we've known each other. Did I say 30 years? I think I said 30 years. It's been, 93.
Yeah.
It would be 30 years, just about 29 years we've known each other. And so we did the festival together. We also did the 42nd Royal Highlanders together. We talked about it last night, the red-coated French and Indian War era historical group that we were part of. That was 1750s, late 1750s is what we represented. So that's how I've known Dave. I've known Dave for a long time. We paint murals together.
Under the moniker of Pot Scott?
Yes, Pot Scott was our actual name that we used to go under. There's Ryan Gale. I've only known Dave for about 20 years. So, Ryan knew him from our days in the regiment.
Yep.
And so we've got some friends.
Stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. Hey, Romeldian, good to have you here over in the chat room. Folks listening on the radio, via audio, if you're catching a little echo, it's only because our tech is not as perfected as it could be. And we've got Dave here in the studio, so he's being picked up on my mic while his mic is broadcasting as well. I don't know another way around that, so we'll do our best to work with that. Hopefully not so much so in the YouTube and the Facebook apps. So we'll find out. We'll see what's going on. So So, what we've got going for tonight, I wanted to have a discussion about Good Friday. I want to have a discussion about the crucifixion, a discussion about Jesus, the Christ, a discussion about what you believe, what we all believe about Jesus, what we believe about the resurrection. I put a picture of the Shroud of Turin on the graphic for tonight's show. And the reason I put that on there was I wanted to discuss that a little bit. We can talk about that. I know there are some people that believe the shroud is an actual artifact, an actual relic, if you will, of Jesus Christ. I know that there are lots of things, and we talked about this. We had a show about this several months back where we talked about some of the new findings on the Shroud of Turin. Did you know that the image on the shroud isn't just of the man? They have found lots of little things that are buried in the darkness and in the shadows. And some of the things that they've been finding on the Shroud of Turin, that image also shows, well, it shows that he's wearing the crown of thorns. And you see some white blotchy portions on that. Well, there are leaves on the thorns and berries on this particular plant that they twisted into. Now, were the leaves there because that's a Roman thing? The garland was a crown, the laurel wreath. And so there are leaves, there are berries on there, there's the thorns, there's the blood stains from being poked from that thing. There is, they found on his, now when Jews prayed back in those days, and still today, they had the little box, the little olfactory box. Let's stop. Whoever's pounding, I need that to stop. I don't care. I don't need you to speak loudly. I need you to respect the fact that I've said 5 times now, we're on radio, children. Sorry to do that on air, folks. There it is. I don't know what other way to handle that. Everything's good until we're on air, and then the kids think they can take advantage of that. I don't like that. And I'm sorry you had to hear the reprimand. It could be a lot worse, believe me. So you had the olfactory that the Jews would wear. They had a strap that went around their brow, and it had a little box that they would put prayers in. And they had I can't remember what it's called, somebody looked that up, the strap that they would wrap around their arms. And that was for prayer. Now, it's interesting that on the Shroud of Turin, those straps are there. They're buried in the shadows. You see the straps on the arm. You see the strap, the olfactory with the little box. It's not on his forehead. It's drooped down. So it had fallen down. You see the person on the shroud is actually wearing a garment. It's like a loincloth or a short skirted garment, and it's got an opulent leather belt is wrapped around it with a buckle, with little chains, the little like mini chains that you would hang from your wrist for a charm bracelet or something. And there's chains with little things on them, little hooks and so on. And these are found in different places on the body. And so the question is are these things that whoever's image is on the shroud was either wearing these things when he was crucified, and there's one thing, they showed the blood that trickles down, it stops at the belt and spreads out to the sides. So the blood is trickled down, it stops, and it rolls out to the sides around the edging of the belt. And so these images are all on the shroud, which is very interesting to me. Niall Parkinson says the shroud's an enigma, but it's definitely not painted or camera obscura. The plant matter that made up the linen is similar features to crop circles, burnt, in other words, right? And somebody I know, a friend of mine, is Barry Schwartz, and he has done study on the shroud since 1978. He was a photographer, and he was brought in with JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratories, were allowed to come in and do some examination of the shroud. And he was brought in as a photographer. Now, he's a Jewish man, Barry Schwartz. And he said, I figured, what the hell? A free trip to Italy? And in 5 minutes, I can tell you it's a fake. And so he went in and he started taking pictures. And he said, the one thing I noticed right away, he says, was that it wasn't a fake. He said, and there were several features he brought up. He said, one thing is the microns deep on fabric. For pigment paint to adhere to fabric, it needs to sink in at least, and now I might be wrong in these numbers, but it's something like this, 14 microns deep in order to adhere to fabric, if I'm not mistaken on my memory on that. Well, the image on the shroud is only something like 4 microns deep. It's nowhere near even half deep enough, the image on the shroud, to accommodate pigment. So it wasn't painted. It wasn't a camera obscura. The chemicals aren't right. The blood is there. It's oxidized. So there's some very interesting features about the shroud. Barry Schwartz, who is still a Jewish man, he says of the shroud today, and he started a shroud.com is his website, and that site's been there for 25 to 30 years. And I've had him on my show a couple of times over the past 10 years. And he said, one thing I can tell you about the shroud for sure, he says, it's not fake. And he said, it's not a faked image. He says, I don't know how it got there. There's several theories they look at, scientific theories. And he says, what I can tell you is it's the image of a real person. He says, is this Jesus of Nazareth? Is this the Jesus of the Bible, the Savior of the Bible? He says, I don't know. He says, I don't know that. I can tell you it's a real person, though. Dave, what do you think of Uncle Dave of the Shroud image?
I'm a firm believer that it's a real image.
Okay.
I don't think we know for sure who, though, it certainly fits the description of what we know of Jesus of Nazareth and the way he died. But I don't know that anyone this far removed from the incident could say this is absolutely
right
a photographic image.
Dave, I'm going to have you do something. Do you have the YouTube channel open?
I do have the YouTube channel.
If you could shut that down and just follow the chat room in StreamYard, I think that might help.
Hold on a second.
That was an observation somebody made in the chat room, and that might be why we're getting an echo. We don't know for sure yet. So I am one that likes to believe. Excuse me. I say things like, when it comes to ghosts, I want to believe that, but I also have evidence of that, so I don't doubt it. There are certain things I want to believe. I want to believe that that is the image of Jesus of Nazareth. Is it? I don't know for sure.
Is that better?
Okay, folks, you let us know if you still hear that echo when Dave speaks. So
I have all the audio shut down on my laptop.
Okay.
So
all right, all it should be picking up is your mic then. And
yeah, and I think it's just because I'm so close to your. I'm just
could
on the
be
other
my
side
mic's
of the
picking
desk
you
from
up,
your
but
mic.
both of us would be delayed the same amount of seconds. So perfect, Niall said. There you go.
Okay,
that was it.
Well, there we go.
So much better. Thank you guys in the chat room for keeping us up to date on that, what that was doing.
But I think that, okay, so I grew up in a photography studio. My family owned a photography studio. My dad was a photographer, and my eldest brother's a photographer, and I went into cinematography. Everything that I've seen, I haven't actually been in contact with the Shroud, but everything I've seen from the information that I've been able to pull together from the internet, from the various films and documentaries that have been done on it, I just don't see how it was faked.
Right. Well, and this is exactly what Barry Schwartz said. That was his determination.
The historical detail that's there, that for someone for someone in the 1500s to try and fake what life was like exactly in the 100s, you know,
Yes.
they didn't have Google to go back to and check on things. We know way more about the first century than they did in the 15th
Yes.
century.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think for some of the people to come in and say, it's obviously painted, it's a fake, why is it that I got a question for you? Now, maybe my friend is listening tonight. Dave, you heard me talk about this earlier. I've got a friend who is a skeptic and he's an atheist. And just today on his Facebook page, he posted a picture where he had purchased this little devil. He's got a cigarette and a big smile, and it's the stereotypical caricature devil, red with the horns and the pointy tail, and so on. He says, well, I got my my new thing here just in time for Easter. Well, now, my friend would tell you that he doesn't believe. He was raised Catholic, but he doesn't believe that there is a God. He doesn't believe that there, and he's skeptical of it. Now, I think yet he will buy a toy that stands in mockery of the religion. Now, I haven't confronted him, and there's nothing to confront. I just look at that and I go, are you a skeptic? If you're a skeptic, why are you buying something that is symbolic of the evil side of the theology that you say doesn't exist? Is it for the sole purpose that you're mocking the religion? And that's why you've got it. And so in that same vein, I'm bringing that up to say this. There are people that are scientists or skeptics of the Shroud, and they will say, well, it's obviously painted. It was maybe something of Leonardo da Vinci. Maybe he did it. Oh, who Dave is channeling tonight, by the way, if you take a look at him.
I'm not wearing my Da Vinci hat. I left it in the car.
Leonardo da Vinci. And so he looks the part tonight. And so when you ask those questions, you say, is somebody just denying the fact, oh, it's got to be a fake? Why does it have to be a fake? What if it's real? They don't know it's not real, yet why aren't they just as skeptical the other way around and say, well, we don't know it's not real. It might be. But they're only skeptical of one angle. Well, it can't be because I don't believe that he existed.
Okay, so, but let me phrase this. So earlier we were having a conversation about the tomb they found in Jerusalem, Jesus' tomb.
Right.
And I'm doing air quotes, but they were off camera.
Air quotes.
The
Talpiot tomb.
So within
his
that,
family tomb.
Academia says, well, it's just, those are common names, and it's just coincidence that all the proper names for his family, Joseph and James and Maria, and all those are in that tomb. They're really common names, even though they can't find any other tombs where all those names are together.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers behind how astronomically odd that would be for those to all be together, no matter how common those names are.
Right.
They are willing to accept it's just a coincidence that they're all together and so on and so forth, rather than accept the fact that it's possible that this is actually his tomb with his ossuary and the ossuaries of his family there.
Right.
And it goes back to the Shroud. They will accept any bizarre amount of coincidences on how the Shroud was created, but ignore all the things factually that are there that say, well, this looks real.
Yes. Well, that's it. And Niall was talking about there being other anomalies in it that are wrapped up in the Shroud. That's true. And some people say maybe too much for one person, but there's some interesting things that were definitely parts of the body. When you unravel a mummy in Egypt, there is so much junk that was put inside those wrappings that a lot more than you find on the Shroud. So I think the Shroud was either things that he was dressed in after the fact, except the man who was crucified, like they said, the blood drips down to the belt and spreads out. So whoever was there and was bleeding down his back and down his chest, that blood dripped onto the belt and the small shift, whatever it is he was wearing around his waist. There was the prayer implements. Were those put on by somebody else after death? Was this part of preparing the body for the quick burial? I don't know. But all of this then gets to, now I'm echoing. I don't know. How far back in the conversation are you, Steve? We had some echo and we got it taken care of. Maybe you're a little further back than before we fixed that. I don't know. Oh, Dave's echoing still, it says. I don't know what that is, guys.
It's got to be because I'm just picking up on your microphone.
He's picking up on my mic, I think. And that echo has got to be slight because both our microphones are equally
We're
offset
less than
from the
5 feet away from each other.
Yeah, we're 5
on
feet
opposite
away.
sides of a desk.
So, sorry that exists. I don't have any way at the moment to undo that. So hopefully it's not too distracting. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the Matthew Sainsbury. You're talking about the first century style beard trim. Yeah, you do see some of that. There's no reason at all, says Niall, to think that it's faked. I brought up the hair earlier. No way would the hair show up in a shrouded image. But some say the head was on a block, etc., and the way it was shrouded. So and of course the theory is, was it the power, the energy of resurrection that caused that image to be burned? Something that doesn't exist anywhere else. We don't know that. Which now it brings me to another question. Dave, you may have heard of this, and maybe some of you in there, if you've studied any of this before, heard sermons on it. Is there, by the way, Master Finn, here's a link to a detailed analysis of the Shroud. That's the best I've ever seen. The narrator is no Scotty Roberts. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, if it's the one I watched, the guy was miserably monotone, but it was a very interesting information. Thank you for posting that, Matt. It was a projection from the Christ, says Niall. And the Christ through his agony. You might be right. So now here's another question for you all. Were you all aware? We're all aware of some of the things that took place during the crucifixion, which was on Friday afternoon. From about noon, he was crucified and died around 6 p.m. Basically, that's 6 hours. And different things happened while he was on
Which is
the cross.
surprisingly short for crucifixion.
Surprisingly short.
The normal Roman crucifixion took days.
Yep. It could take days to die. But this is why, remember it says in the story in the Bible, it says the Roman soldiers came around to break their legs. And they didn't break Jesus' legs because they saw he was already dead. Why would they break the legs? It's because in Roman crucifixion, they would shove your knees up and you had to pull yourself up on shoulders that are dislocated in order to take a breath in. And when they wanted them to die and finish them off, they would go by and they'd break their legs so they couldn't push up on their legs anymore. That was one thing that happened. But on the cross, it seems to echo when I lean back. Maybe Dave's mic is picking me up when I lean way back over here. So when he's hanging on the cross, it talks about it rained. It talks about, we had the scourging. We all know what the scourging was comprised of. It was 40 lashes in the scourge in the Jewish tradition was certain death, and so they only made sure he got 39. He was scourged 39 lashes. And it would tear the skin from the muscle from the bone, and so on, and pretty much ground you up. And it's surprising that he didn't die of blood loss or that anybody being crucified. I think part of it was it was so expertly carried out that they made sure that these people didn't die before they got hung on the cross. And then we also hear of, there's a couple of incidents that I'm wondering if you are aware of. I don't know which gospel it is. Like I said, I didn't prepare anything. We're just talking off the tops of our heads here. But when Jesus died, it said that all the graves were opened and the saints rose from the dead and testified. Now, in the Greek, it's written in the present. It happened at that time. It wasn't talking about something that would happen in the future or that happened later and they added it in. They're going back into the information. It's saying that when Jesus died, all the tombs were opened of the saints that had died. And they rose from the dead and testified in Jerusalem. Now, if something like that had happened, what would be the reaction of the common folk in town?
Double tap to the head.
Double tap to the head, Dave said.
Zombies are walking down the street. It's not good.
That's it. Hey, Rudy Kessler, good to see you. So Dave and I might still be here for the captain's cabin.
We will
after hours. We'll still be here for a while. So, so you see all these people rising from the dead according to the Gospels. So here's the question. We don't see any other historical reference to that. And remember, there were people who wrote in the first century. You had Josephus. I think it was Virgil or Tacitus. These guys wrote about Jesus of Nazareth. But there's no story attached of, oh, and on the day that he was crucified, all these people came out of the graves. You don't find that written about anywhere. That's something I wish I knew a little bit more about, and that there was a way to find out more about that. There was that event. Then there was another event, which is maybe more theological than it is about than people rising from the dead. But did you know that it says, and when Jesus died, the veil in the temple rent from top to bottom without human hands tearing it? And it was supposed to be the significance of that was supposed to be mankind no longer needs the priest to separate people in the holy place from the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant once used to be. And that the veil in the temple, this thick veil, it was several layers thick, was something that when Moses built the tabernacle of the covenant in the desert, before Solomon built the first temple, it was that big thick veil that would separate the people from where only the high priest could go once a year to do sacrifice or to sprinkle the blood on the Ark of the Covenant, to atone for the people's sins. That was inside that veil. Well, that was still symbolically there in the temple, dividing the holy place and the Holy of Holies. And it says when Jesus died, that thick 7-layer, they say it was maybe about, it felt like it could be 8 to 12 inches thick, all this heavy fabric. This veil that went from the floor to the ceiling in the temple and divided these rooms that it tore from top to bottom without anybody's hands touching it. So that's a story in the Gospels as well. Have you heard that story before? Dave, is there anything in Masonic tradition that talks about the graves being open that you can talk about without killing us all? About the veil being torn in the temple? Because I know the temple's a big deal in Masonic lore.
The temple is a huge deal in the Masonic tradition.
So do you know anything about that?
No.
Okay.
I've not heard any stories of the veil being torn, and I have not heard outside of those passages of the saints rising from their tombs and such.
All right. So that's to me, those are very interesting biblical stories. Now the question has to come up, and I do not want to offend anybody's sensibilities. And Matt Finn, I think of you especially with this, because I would say that are these stories that were added later? We all know there's about 70 to 75 gospels that were written, yet only 4 of them appear in the New Testament. And 3 of them seem to all go back to the similar source point as the Gospel of Mark. So did they all come off of these common Gospels?
To me, the interesting one to read would be Mary's
Gospel, the Gospel of Mary.
And I know it's out there, but I have yet to read it. So
Brianna says, Uncle Dave.
Brianna.
So there are these questions that were brought up. What do you guys think out there in the audience? What do you think over there in the chat room? If you've got some ideas about, or if you've heard information that I haven't heard on this, what do you know about this, about the raising of the dead at the same time Jesus died, that all these tombs were opened and the saints came out and testified? Was that poetic language being used? Literary language? If so, why is that the only place in the passage in the account where it's used? Why aren't we told? And it was like the tombs were open and everybody testified. We don't get that. And the same thing with the veil in the temple rending from top to bottom. Many coroners have reported from bodies of people who've been tortured extensively, a mixture of sweat and hormones. They notice stains on a cloth, and I've heard that too. The only argument I've heard against that being what happened is that you don't get these clear images like this out of that. You get some imagery from the sweat, for some from the decay of the body. But remember, this all supposedly took place overnight. It says that he was in the tomb for 3 days. He was only in the Jewish way of thinking 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was put in the tomb on Friday evening. He was in the tomb all day Saturday, rose on Sunday morning. So he was really literally in the tomb 24 hours plus maybe 6 more hours on Sunday morning and 6 hours so maybe 36 hours, something like that in the tomb, rather than 3 full solar days. Steve Clark says, I watched a video that they went to Mount Olive and that there's a fig tree where there's a fig tree groves, but one fig tree, and supposedly that where Jesus would touch when he comes back. See, now I've heard that. And it's according to the prophecies of the end times, the Son of Man will return, the second advent of Christ, and touch foot on the Mount of Olives. That's the prophecy from 2,000 years ago. So that's very interesting. Brianna says, sorry, I just hopped on. I was typing one of my 4 papers due by Sunday. They're not respecting Easter, are they? So with all this stuff going on with Good Friday, all the things that happened during the crucifixion, where is your belief system? Do you believe these things, and do we blindly believe, well, I can't explain it, but I believe it? That's okay. I did for years and years and years and years. I still do. I just have my questions. I'm an avowed agnostic, so I question things. I don't know. All that means I just knowledge, gnosis, agnostic. I don't know what to believe about these things. So was the whole thing fabricated by his followers? Dave, I want you to chime in on that. The idea that nobody trying to dismiss who Jesus was or anything like that. There's no axe to grind, but they say this really follows the course of most God men that we've seen in history. Is that all their information is borrowed from a previous source. The Gnostics did this, the mystics, and that his followers created a narrative about him that made sure that people, when they heard the story, could believe that this was God, the Son of God. What do you think of
that? What do I think of that? I was brought up to believe that he was the Son of God. I do believe that, though I would say my belief in what his life was and what is taught to us are completely different. I'm a firm believer that he married Mary of Magdalene, that there are offspring.
Me too.
And that we are not being given an entire picture. The Council of Nicaea decided to remove texts that I think were crucial and important, but they were trying to set up a male central clergy and removing the power of the priestess, which up until
Right.
then there were priestesses in many things. Mary was a priestess. She,
Remember, folks, the other night, to just interrupt, when we were talking for several nights about Avalon, Glastonbury, the priestesses of Avalon, there's a thing at the end of that book where Morgane of Avalon is grieving the loss of the goddess. And she said, she's gone. It's the white Christ and the followers of white Christ that have taken over completely. And then she walks into the sanctuary and sees the nuns and the common folk praying to Mary. And she looks at the statue of Mary and she says, no. She says, I've got it all wrong. And I'm wildly paraphrasing the book. But she says, I looked and I said, the goddess is still here. She's just taken on a different form. And that Mary has taken on the attributes of the goddess. If you look at things about Mary, the moon under her foot as she's ascending into heaven, and all
Very
of these
much
different things about Mary is that she is actually the new embodiment of the old goddess. What are your thoughts on that?
but that's the Virgin Mary, not
That's the
Mary
Virgin.
Magdalene. But
Yeah. I'm sorry. That's the Virgin Mary, not Mary, the wife of Jesus.
And so I think that, as I stated before, I believe that the shroud is the product of a miracle. I believe that it's real. I think trying to use science to prove a miracle is where the folly is, but they can use science to prove certain aspects of it and stuff. The one thing they always come back to is they think it's a fake from the 1300s. Well, we know it went through an extensive fire in the 1300s,
Right.
and was exposed to wood being burned because of that, and so the smoke that it would have brought in would affect carbon dating of that. So I think that that's where there's confusion because of that. But there's no technology they had in the 1300s to do what's on that cloth. The closest person that could have come close to that, I think, technologically, is Leonardo, but he again is
Right.
1400s.
Too late.
And
So
that doesn't make sense. And I can't believe that he would have found a source for first century pollens and things to lay in there. And
Right.
all
Because-
the little details.
because 700 years from now, they're going to be looking at this and going, "Oh, there's pollen in here." I don't
or
think-
to create a fake. I mean, so I understand that in the 12 and 1300s, there's huge money in making reliquaries. Okay.
Yep.
Lots of thigh bones from chickens became knuckles from saints.
Right.
Stuff.
By the way, Ryan Gale brings up an interesting point. He says there's also centuries of people touching the thing.
Yes.
Now, what's interesting, when they did the first carbon dating tests on it, they were allowed to take a little bit of fabric from the edge of the shroud. They didn't want them taking a gouge out of the shroud, so they had them take it from the edge. Well, it dates back about 1,300 years, the piece that the fibers that they took. Well, what's happened over 1,300 years? That shroud has been handled by the edges. Whenever it's handled, people are handling it. You know what people do? They leave DNA on those fibers. So they came back a few years ago and said, because of this, can we take fibers from more central locations on the shroud where people wouldn't have normally been touching it? And you know what they got? They got a fabric that dated 2,000 years old from a couple of different places on the shroud that were not along the edges where hundreds of people have handled it over the centuries.
And as like most academia, they didn't run out and say, "Oh, we were wrong. We were wrong."
Right.
They just made a little footnote in some document someplace that said, "Oh, yeah, these things tested to be 2,000 years
Right.
old."
Exactly. So, Romeldian says he knew Mary Magdalene in a past life, and she was an amazing student of his. Who were you in that past life, Romeldian? I'm just curious about that. So that's interesting to hear when people bring that kind of thing up. So now we've only got, holy crap, we've got 25 seconds left, and we got to get out of here. Stick around, folks, for the captain's cabin, and we will be back. So we're going to get out of here. Live long and prosper.
Where's my camera?
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Okay, guys, we are off. Boy, I'm hearing that echo. Listen to that. Turn your mic way down for a second. Is that what you guys have been hearing all night? There, now Dave's mic is off. There's still a little bit of an echo. Oh, you know what that is? Because I'm not disconnected from the server. Hold on a second. I'm going to do that right now. Boom. Now my echo's gone. But I didn't have a headset in either.
Can you hear me?
I don't hear you now.
Okay. Well, then-
So that echoing was, that last echoing there was just from the server itself, because I had taken off my headset.
Is that better?
I don't hear you now. It was only echoing because of the server connection.
Nah.
So anyway, so all of these things, and Matt Finn, I want to hear more from you too. Niall Parkinson says reliquary is a good point. Science can prove botanically that this cannot be faked. Forensically, there's proof staining can occur. So Jesus added to it as a proof of his agony. There you go. I tend to kind of be with Niall on this. And Niall, I got to admit, you surprised me a little bit. I didn't know that you would be somebody who believe that this might be the actual Shroud of Christ. Just for other opinions you hold on things, I thought you might be somebody who didn't hold to that opinion. And so I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by that. Let's see, a piece of the true cross went down with that Russian cruiser. Oh yeah. There's so many pieces of the true cross that they could build, I think, 35 crosses out of it, they say. So I don't know about the true cross thing. It's also the knuckle bone of St. Peter. Is out
Yeah,
there
I'm pretty sure
somewhere,
it's
too.
chicken thigh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So let's see. What else have I got in here? I'm looking at your guys' comments here tonight. Fascinating show, says Barbie D. Thank you, Barbie D. And let's see, what else we got? So yeah, I can be skeptical of the Shroud, but my skepticism is one. I think true skepticism is not denialism. True skepticism, like I've always said, I believe there's two different kinds of skeptic: a big S skeptic and a small s skeptic. The big S skeptic is the denialist, the denier. No, that isn't so. No, that can't be. No, none of that's true. I'm going to bring up every argument I can to prove that you're wrong. That's not skepticism. That's disbelief and denial. I think the small s skeptic is the skeptic who says, I don't believe that, but I'm open to seeing research. I'm open to seeing the evidence. I'm not doing the evidence on this because it's not my thing, but if you present me with the evidence, you might convince me otherwise. That's what a skeptic
Or the
is.
person that's never experienced it, and so they're skeptical of it until they
Yep.
experience it, and then they're like, oh, well, I can't deny what I saw with my own eyes or heard with my own ears or was physically present for, you know. So that's different. The atheist, and we were talking about this earlier, the atheist that only has a problem with the Christian God, but doesn't have a problem with Jews or Muslims or pagans
Right.
or whatever. It's like, well,
That
you
to me
really
is the
atheist
give
or
it
you anti-Christian?
the giveaway sign that somebody's just in denial or denying or doesn't want to believe it because they'll give credence to other things. I know a lot of pagans who believe in a whole pantheon of gods, but you can't have Jesus. He's not a real God. Anyway, by the way, Brianna Learman said to your chicken thigh comment, she said, "You're a chicken thigh." That's right there. You're a chicken thigh, Dave. So thank you for that, Brianna.
It's the best part of the bird.
The best part of the bird, the thigh. See, why is it that guys, we like boobs and we like thighs, and in chicken, we like breasts and we like thighs? So it's what it. Have you never had chicken breasts before?
The 10-year-old was like, "Oh my God.
Oh my God. God, I can't believe you said that." Niall said, "I think, Scotty, I've studied every aspect of the Shroud. The camera obscura does give a similar result, but it takes a hell of a long time and it doesn't have the detail." That's very true. Very nice. It's warm. Don't burn your hair. It'll get frizzy.
Oh my God.
Whatever. Matt Finn says, the book Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop shows the connections to many polytheistic gods and goddesses going back to the original global empire of Babylon. Couple Nimrod and Semiramis. So, yeah, I think you're onto something there, Matt. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to this. Now, then there is we can take all the scientific side and all the research side and the theological study side and all of that stuff and start weighing out what we want to believe. But then there is the emotional side, which many times I find I can be taken by surprise by the emotional side of it all. Talking about Christ, talking about Jesus, talking about, I'm not talking about the flippant storybook Jesus, which you see. I tend to have a problem with a lot of the kids' books and things like that, that storybook eyes the gospel stories or the biblical stories. We forget that these were real people in real situations for the most part, that the history was very intact. Maybe you don't want to believe the faith part. The faith portion was wrapped around the history. And so I think we forget the real history of these people.
Well, and what was his primary mission? Primary mission was for God to send a part of him down to experience life as a man. And I don't mean man as in gender, but I mean as in human being, to experience the human condition. And how could you do that without following through and getting married and having children and doing all those aspects of what that is?
Well, and that's it too. And I I have to stop a little short of saying that, if I heard you right, that God sent his son to experience what it was like to be human, and stop it there. I think it's got to go a lot further than that. I think that there was a redemptive call. There was, when we've talked about the Nephilim and we've talked about all of those things and looking all through the chronologies of the Old Testament, the numbering of the people, the genealogies, all of this was to prove that there was a kinsman redeemer that was coming, the one who would be one of us, redeemer, which was prophesied in the book of Genesis, in the garden story. It was prophesied all the way back there with Nakash, the serpent character, and culminated supposedly in Jesus Christ. But it was this kinsman redeemer, the one who would be one of us, redeemer, that would come and save us. And it also all through the Old Testament obviated that there was something other than one of us. There was the opposite of that, and that the Redeemer, the kinsman Redeemer, would be one that would come to take away the sin of the world, which was connected to the split race, the Nephilim race, the wiping out of the Nephilim race, and with the flood, and so on. This kinsman Redeemer would come to save us from the wickedness of mankind, which was the split races. So we can get into all that talk, but there you go. It's a lot deeper, I think, than just God wanting to experience being a man. I think he would have already known. But there is something, too, that I've always looked to, and that is, I read something by Philip Yancey once, who, a theologian, Christian theologian, and he wrote a book that I read 30 years ago, Disappointment with God, it was called. And in there, he talks about what in theology, when I went to seminary, we referred to as Stair-Step Dispensationalism. Have you any of you ever heard of that? You know what a dispensation is. You know what the covenants were. The covenant was, God had a covenant with Adam. But then as he moved out, then he had a covenant with Noah. Then he had a covenant with Abraham. Then a covenant with Isaac. Then he had a covenant eventually with David, and so on. And this, but each time there was a covenant or a new dispensation from God to man, it was like a stair step. It went up in level, but it took a step further away from God. Up in level, a step further away. Up in level, a step further away. So each one, as you went up the stairway, took you from that God who created you, and I'm right here in your face on top of you all the time, to the God who became the God that stepped away a little further until the final covenant, the final dispensation in his Son. The coming of the Son of Man. The giving of, and did you know that the death of Jesus, that Jesus didn't come at first? Look at his original message. His original message was, the kingdom of God is at hand. It wasn't, I'm going to die on the cross for your sins. The beginning of his ministry was, the kingdom of God is coming. Prepare your hearts. Then toward the end of his ministry, it became, the Son of Man is going to be offered up. And we called this, there was kind of a, we also referred to as a contingent dualism when it came to the coming of John the Baptist, the coming of Christ, was that if the Jews had accepted Jesus as the Messiah, as their king, that would have ushered in the millennial kingdom of God, the kingdom of God on earth. But because the Jews corporately rejected him, maybe not all individually, but corporately, it was something where it's like the plan changed. This is what we were taught in my theological circles, was that the only reason Jesus had to go to death on the cross and atone for sins was that the kingdom was rejected. Because everything was about the Jewish people, if you remember that. All through the Old Testament. The kinsman redeemer was a Jewish concept. The kinsman redeemer. Now, all it had to do with the Jewish timeline, the Jewish calendar, the children of Israel, God's people. And the age of grace, as we know it, the New Testament period, is like a parenthetical that slipped into the timeline because things changed, because the Messiah, the kinsman redeemer, was rejected on a corporate level. And this is a theological, it's not an anti-Semitic thing, it's nothing like that. The kingdom has now been pushed out, and we now have this different age. So there you go. The Nephilim by Scotty Roberts, available on audio.
I'm listening to it right now. I mean, not right this minute, but that's the book I'm currently.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. You can get that on Audible, by the way. So that's my thinking about Christ. That's what I pieced together. Niall says, I think it makes sense that a mystic appeared as a representative of God, slightly different to the Son of God. Maybe so. Matthew Finn says, I also believe the Nephilim incursion was Satan's attempt to corrupt the human genome and stop the birth of Christ. That's a good possibility. I have heard that theory put forward theologically. That's why God made it very clear that the Messiah, the kinsman redeemer, must come from the pure blood of humans, the human bloodline, because there was another bloodline that was created, the bloodline of the Nephilim. And if you keep in mind, what was the reason for the flood? And we've talked about this a million times on this show, because I wrote about this in The Rise and Fall of the Nephilim, it was not the wickedness of mankind, it was the wickedness of mankind brought to mankind in this second bloodline. And so that second bloodline was one that needed to be eradicated. This is why you have the Nephilim story as the preamble to the flood in the book of Genesis.
Well, and to me, that's why the Merovingian thing makes sense. It creates a new bloodline to move forward. If it just ends with him, then there is no bloodline.
Yes. Matt Finn says, I believe the push toward transhumanism is the same plan today. I believe there's something to that, Matt Finn. I really do. Matthew Sainsbury says they were looking for a person from David's line to be a liberator like Judah Maccabee, or David, the warrior king, would free them from Rome. That's exactly what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, and I've mentioned this before. When you look at Easter, the triumphal entry, which would have been last Sunday on the Passion Week calendar, Jesus rides into Jerusalem on the foal of a donkey. And what do the people do? They have palm fronds, and they're waving the palm fronds and yelling, Hosanna to the King, throwing them on the ground in front of the path so the donkey with the Messiah would cross over on these palm fronds. Now, we see that repeated in church nowadays, Baptist church, evangelical churches. The kids, they have kids come forward with the little palm fronds and sing songs in the sanctuary during the main service of the church for Palm Sunday, yelling, Hosanna, Hosanna to the King. Glory to God in the highest. Well, the only problem with that is historically, that event was it was like a fireworks display at the 4th of July. It was in remembrance of the war. The palm frond was the symbol of the Maccabean family, who 100 years or so earlier had cleared the Greeks, the Persians, out of the temple and held the temple and went to war. Judas the Hammer, Maccabee, and the Maccabean family. And the symbol of the Maccabean family was the palm frond. And so when they're waving this palm frond, it's not because they necessarily believe Jesus was the Son of God, a spiritual being. It's that they believed that he was the next Judas Maccabeus. He was the deliverer who would deliver them from the bondage under Rome. And that's what they wanted him to do. They wanted him to raise an army. They thought he was coming to Jerusalem to raise an army to fight the Romans. And then a few days later, I always wondered, why did this whole city who came out waving palm fronds on Sunday, by Thursday, they're like, crucify him? What changed in there? Well, they found out. Jesus, by his own words, he says, I'm not coming here to lead an army or to be a king like you think. I'm telling you, the kingdom of God is in your heart. And the people didn't like, they were like, he is not here to deliver us from Rome. Crucify him. Yeah, go ahead. And he lost the crowd that way. Not because he did something wrong, but because he said, I am not what you're looking for in that. I'm not that physical redeemer. I'm a spiritual redeemer. Niles says there's no reason to think that Jesus was anything other than what we know of as an angel or a messenger. I'm a Catholic, Scotty, but I'm also a dualist. There is never is one without the other. Well, there it is. Always there shall be two. So said Yoda. I'm not making light.
That's the Sith.
Yeah.
Always there are two. That's the Sith.
Always there are two. And but of course, I've looked into that and said, and I step on very touchy ground with some people with this. I'm not saying I'm a believer of this. I'm asking a question. That whole idea that Lucifer and Jesus bear the same titles. There's a lot of people and researchers that have said, I think they are brothers, or they are one and the same, or they are both Elohim, sons of God. I don't know this. It goes so in the face of what we're taught theologically that it makes us cringe if you're part of the church and you're a believer. They were all super hungover and grumpy, says Iowa X. That might be. So there you go. What else we got here? Excuse me for doing that.
It's a really heavy topic for tonight.
Yeah, it's a heavy topic. It's a heavy topic. Comes down to what do you believe?
I thought we were going to be light and frivolous, is what I thought.
You told me it'd be a light, frivolous night. Belief for me is saying I will turn my back on anything that might go against what I have chosen to believe. And I choose to believe I might have an educated belief system. I believe it because of this, and this. But then there are those who will say, well, there's this, and this that lead me to not be able to believe. Who's right? That's where it becomes that faith issue, that belief issue. And that's where I bring up the argument and say, not kowtowing to either side of that argument, I say, why would God leave such an important decision of such infinite nature to the finite minds of humans who have no way to prove the story is true?
Enter free will.
What's that?
Enter free will.
You have the freedom to believe this, that this is the truth, or you have the freedom to reject it. But if you exercise that freedom, I will send you to an eternity infinite in hell.
See, I always chuckle to myself with what I know to be internally. When somebody tells me they're an atheist, I'm thinking, oh, you're in for a big surprise someday. You're going to cross over and go, I thought all this stuff was bullshit. What the hell?
Here, Steve Clark just said something here that makes sense. Dave, this is probably be a good time to do this. I would love for Rainey to try some of this too, as it was sent to both of us. This is the package that Steve Clark sent to us, and contained herein is
now we be talking.
It's not rum. It's blueberry shine.
Blackberry
shine. I've been saying blueberry all this time.
I know you have, but it's not. It's blackberry.
I'm glad you know so much.
I just let you go. I'm not. I'm not here to judge you, baby. You need some scissors? I got scissors.
No, I got it. So let's see what we got in here from Steve Clark. You're seeing the box opening of a little bit of blackberry.
It wouldn't be a YouTube show if we weren't doing an unveiling and an opening.
That's right. All right. Let's see.
If I appear really short or like I'm looking up at Scotty, it's because I'm sitting in a 10-year-old's chair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Rowan's desk chair he's sitting in. She pulled that out of a dumpster the other day. I was very proud of her.
I am proud of her too.
Little dumpster diving.
Yeah.
What's that?
Dumpster chair.
Hey, my entire college apartment was furnished from a dumpster, so I'm all proud of that.
Oh, I needed some bubble wrap. Now I got some. No, you don't. I needed to pack something up. As long as it's here. Whatever I don't use, you can have. I'll give you some when I'm done using what I need.
You could braid Uncle Dave's hair.
Yeah.
I could use that.
I don't think there's anything in here. There's a lot of bubble wrap in here.
That'll make for scintillating radio.
Here it is. Here it is. This is like the relic. I'm going to put this away so it's not all over the place. It's like the when you would see in all the horror films, you know.
And do you know what instrument they use for that?
A rattle.
No, theremin.
A what?
The theremin. It's
Theremin?
the electronic thing. You got a little wire sticking up this way. Another one. You wave your arms, and it creates that music, that haunting sound. They have
Haunting
one at the
sound.
Bakken Museum. Here
At the what museum?
The Bakken. Bakken.
Oh, yes. Oh, Niles said, I must have tapped this accidentally, and it came up with Niles. There was a war and still is. Faith and the Trinity makes sense if you think terms of the Christ, the adversary, the feminine divine. I believe, Scotty, I believe it all. There it is. And really, I do too. I just question things. I want to understand why it works that way, what it is. The drink party starting, says Rumelian. I don't know if it's a drink party, but it's definitely going to be something drinkable. Okay. There we go. We're down to the paper wrapping.
It's in a mason
If I go
jar.
sit on a street corner, I'll keep it in the paper bag. So,
I can tell that shape. It's a mason jar.
oh, look at this.
Oh, it's got nice color. I was expecting it to be clear.
Look at the color on that. You see that, guys? It's got a nice red color to it. Old Smoky Moonshine. Blackberry Moonshine. Spirits distilled from corn with natural flavors.
Keep away from flames and electrical devices.
Yes. If you have a cut on your hand, use this liberally to.
I do have a cut on my hand.
Yeah, you do. All right. Man, still have this cough. Here we go. We are going to crack this open right now.
It looks really full.
It is really.
I would set it on the table.
I just wanted to show that I was cracking it open. Oh.
Is it instantly evaporating away?
No, it's not instantly evaporating. Here, hang on, folks. I got to get. Let's see. Rainey, would you like to try some?
No, I already took meds for the night.
Oh. Wah, wah, wah.
Roll one taste.
I could give her a taste if she really wants a taste. Do you want Darth Vader or do you want Yoda, Dave?
Oh, Darth Vader, definitely.
Here you go.
I'm very dark
I don't
side.
think there's much dust in that.
Dad, Mom told me I can.
Mom said you could, huh?
I did my camera.
All right, as long as it's on camera.
Why? Is it gonna taste weird?
It's moonshine.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, alcohol. It's alcohol. You'll find out what it is. All right. So we've got, I'm going to use the Fort Ticonderoga shot glass, the British Redcoats.
Let Uncle Dave have a sip before she does. So if it's really harsh, I'll just steer you away from it.
We've got Darth Vader
What?
shot glass for Uncle Dave.
Mom.
And we have, we'll let Rowan have the Yoda. You drink like Yoda. All right, here we go. All right, Steve, are you still sitting out there watching?
How are you going to pour that without spilling it all over your desk?
I'm wondering how I'm going to pour this without spilling it all over my desk. Let's find out. Oh, just like that. That's Yoda. So that's a little too much for you.
Yeah, it is that.
I'm going to give you just a taste.
You know, I can legally go to a bar and get one drink with a parent.
You're so deceived. Self-deceived.
The joy of living in Wisconsin.
Yeah, there it is. Here, Dave.
That's what Jamie told me.
All right. I'm going to pour some for me.
Yeah, no.
No, it's good.
He did that for effect. Do you want to try it? If you want
I
to try it,
terrified her.
you're welcome to take a sip.
Mm.
First thing you might want to do, your step over here.
Steve, that's really good.
So people can see you,
Come
I
on.
said. Yeah, you know how to do this? What, you're used to doing this?
No.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off the overlay like that. There you go. All right. All right, I got mine. You can take a quick sniff of it. Gives you an idea how that's going to taste.
It smells
You
like
ready?
grape juice.
Cheers.
No.
Cheers. Cheers, Uncle Dave.
Cilantro.
What? That wasn't that bad.
Spicy.
Let that be a lesson when your
Oh, it's
friends
spicy.
say, hey,
She
drink
was
this,
doing that
don't do
because
it.
it tastes spicy to her. So there you go. Well, that's all you get because you're 10.
I'm gonna spit on you.
If we lived in Europe, you'd probably be able to have more of this, and it would be acceptable. So there you go, folks.
That's really nice. It's eating the paint off of the Darth Vader glass, but it's
Yeah. There's no paint left on the Darth Vader glass, but that's very good stuff, Steve. Thank you for sending that. It's actually really good, Rainey. It tastes
Now
like
I normally
like
only
spicy
do this to the little
fruit juice.
ones, occasionally to the twins, and sometimes to Sam, but Uncle Dave approves.
Uncle Dave approves. And I got to tell you something, folks. I feel it still a little bit right here. It's still crawling down, but it was very tasty. Steve, I was expecting even a little more bite and kick than that.
I was too.
And it didn't have much. So,
But I can tell you this, Scotty's going to have a house guest for another 2 hours before I get in the car and head back to Rochester.
that's right.
So 4 a.m., folks, we're staying on the air until 4 a.m. tonight.
Rowan's going to sleep till noon. Why don't you have a little bit more, and that'll help you sleep tomorrow.
Okay, you gotta record it.
No, she's got to play volleyball in the morning.
Yeah, you got a game tomorrow.
I have a game at noon. That's not in the morning.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, you can tell them at the game. Well, my dad kept feeding me whiskey.
Is there
Yeah.
a way?
Moonshine whiskey.
Don't be saying that.
I have a question. Is there a way like you could cut this out so like you can send it to me and like
Is there any way I can cut this out and like send it to you?
yeah.
Like, so you can have it? Sure.
No,
Sure, I can do that.
you don't want her to put that on YouTube.
You really don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you think about
I
it, you don't
won't.
really don't need to have
I just
you
want it.
drinking alcohol on YouTube.
Rowan,
Other than this.
I'm not
I
gonna
know you.
I'm not gonna post it anywhere. I just
Oh, yeah,
want
I
it.
just want it. I'll always have it. So
When you
Fine.
turn 21, we'll play it at your birthday.
it's actually a cultural thing. In Europe, this wouldn't be so highly stigmatized. Here it is. So there we go. There's a little bit of Steve's blackberry moonshine. Good stuff, Steve.
Very good stuff.
Well, I just wanted to see what the
The fact that
what
mom,
is the alcoholic content.
mom
of this.
asked me this morning
108, something
if
like
I've
that.
ever
40
drank
proof.
alcohol. Yes, I
40 proof.
have.
Now.
Yeah.
You what?
Mom asked me this morning. I was listening to a song and mom heard words on the song and that said like what if we get drunk? And she said, "So have you ever drank alcohol then?"
She said that to you?
Yeah, she asked me.
You can tell her yes now.
Yeah.
There it is. She had, folks, I poured her about that much in a shot glass. So she got a taste,
Hey,
is what she got.
If I can legally go to a bar and get one glass of beer with the grown up, I think that's
Don't believe everything you hear in middle
don't
school.
believe everything you hear.
Oh.
You can't.
No, I didn't hear it at school. Jamie said that.
No.
Jamie's Bentley's mom.
I don't think kids can go to the bar in Wisconsin with their parents.
You have to be a specific age, but you can have one drink at the bar.
Really? You got to be, what, 16 or older?
No, I think it's like 12.
12? Really?
Yeah, it's Wisconsin, dude.
Wisconsin.
You have a town of in Wisconsin. You got a town of 25 people. There's 16 bars
Niall, it's 40 proof. It's 40 proof
Yeah.
um,
and a gas station.
alcohol.
That
So
sells
it is
booze.
What does it have here? 750 milliliters. It's 20% ALC by volume, 40 proof. So there you go.
Why are you so giggly?
I'm
It's psychosomatic.
I'm burnt.
I don't know if you heard of she broke the microphone.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
That's very nice, child. Thank you.
Oh, you little sailor, you.
Yeah. So there you go. Know what you could do for
I like
us?
the cut of your cloth.
I like the cut of your jib.
Knock knock.
Knock knock, says Brianna. Brianna would like some. Would you like some blackberry shine?
Well, Brianna, you know where we're at. Get in the damn car.
Yeah, you're 10 minutes away. Just drive over
Correction,
here. We got some
correction,
moonshine.
Correction. 15 minutes away.
Because you drive it all the time.
Because they hear me say all the time. Or 15
We always say 15 minutes to New Richmond. It takes about
Yeah, 'cause
10,
you always
11 minutes to
complain.
get there.
minutes,
Okay,
11 minutes.
But we're talking about
Irrelevant.
Brianna driving, so it's probably 10.
Brianna driving 8 minutes. She'd be here in 8 minutes.
Oh, it's like that time I took the trip from Rochester to Minneapolis, 88 miles. Generally takes
What
an
about
hour and a half.
StreamYard, Brianna?
45 minutes later, we were in town. That was in my youth when I had my
Oh,
Mustang.
there she is. She's here. Hey, Brianna.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, John.
Hey, what's up?
John,
guys?
how you doing?
Oh, not too bad.
You guys should come over and have some moonshine with us.
You had me at
Mm. So I don't know if you saw that. This is the stuff that Steve Clark sent.
Oh yeah,
Look
we've
at the
been watching.
color. Look at the color of that.
That
It's
stuff is good.
it's
I
very
haven't tried that
smooth.
Very
one, but
nice.
It's very dangerous. I could sit and drink a lot of that.
I've had the habanero one.
Have you? I haven't had that one.
Is that the one?
So
that-
good to see you guys. I miss you guys.
Probably.
It's too bad you're not across the street anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
You should
just
move
walk
back.
over. We should move back.
There's units for sale 2 doors down.
Here. Yeah. You can move over here.
Yeah.
Then you could do what you too could live under the Tower of Death.
Oh yeah.
I used to live there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you used to live like 2 or 3 doors down from where we are.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I'm sure the tower doesn't cause any real problems other than the bicycles I saw just kind of levitating.
my
at
God.
me.
Yeah, the bicycles were
Wrong.
levitating.
Wrong.
Electromagnetic
Ro?
waves. They can't be any. They can't cause any
How are
problems.
you feeling?
Me?
No.
No.
Me.
Oh, you. She had-
Me.
Like a taste on her tongue is what I put in her.
You know that's
Or,
gonna put some hair on your chest now.
Yeah, that's right. You have to
Ew.
start shaving your chest. Like Brianna does.
She makes a coat every time.
Nice.
This is not actually a beard. It's just my chest hair that comes up out of my collar.
Right.
So,
I still
so
have to come get
there
my
you go
cup.
with the moonshine. Dave, would you like more?
No, I seriously have to drive back to Rochester.
Oh, he's going to drive back to Rochester an hour and a half or so.
Goodhue County is always out in full force. and
Always
they
on
don't
the
like,
prowl.
they don't like
I don't
people
have far
drive
to
drunk.
go.
I don't
I
like
have to
people to drive drunk.
Stumble up the stairs to bed, and that's it.
There's a
So-
couch downstairs. Why don't you just sleep there?
Yeah,
Because I have
could.
90-year-old parents
Because
that
I
have to
like
get up
the
in
bed.
the morning and stuff. So
Because he doesn't get any pillows or blankets down here. He'd have to go up anyways to get them.
Yeah,
That's
I'd have to
'cause
go up and
you
get my
stole
pillows
them
and
all.
blankets.
Yeah.
What?
Go take him from Rowan.
No.
Yeah,
I
really.
wouldn't get any sleep. Rowan would be out here pestering me all night long,
Yeah, she would.
asking
Just
a
sit on
gazillion
her.
questions and whatever else.
Yeah. What's that? Rainey? Rainey, you might as well tune in over there and we'll bring you in too.
Yeah, Rowan would be all night long trying to talk me into pouring a little bit more in that shot glass. Pour
Can I
pour
just
me
try a
bit
little
more.
bit more?
It'll be okay.
Yeah, right. So both the kids down to bed over at your
Oh,
house?
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put them to bed at like 8.
There it is. Niall sounds good as I have wild turkey, 101 proof. See, now I tend to be, I grew up, Steve Clark and everybody else, I grew up around stuff like wild turkey and Maker's Mark.
Old Granddad.
I don't remember Old Granddad, but there were a couple of other ones like that. The bourbons and things that have the Johnny Walkers were always around, you know.
Yeah.
But
Johnny
my
Walker.
mom was a waitress and a bartender. And so we grew up around, and all their friends would get together. They'd all smoke at our house and drink all these Johnny Walker type of things and stuff. And
Absolutely
I just
the
could
worst
never
scotch
get it.
ever.
I'm a Scotch purist. I tend to be a single malt Highland Scotch. I say
Quality over quantity.
if it starts with a Glen, Ben, Dal, Bal, O, or Mac, I'm in.
At Grand Lodge last weekend, they brought out an $8,000 bottle of Macallan.
That's a
Nice.
Whiskey.
That's a whiskey.
I was given on one of my birthdays a long time ago. Somebody bought for me some 78-year-old Glenmorangie. I don't know what kind of cask it was aged in, but single malt Highland Scotch, and it was $1 a year for a shot. So they spent $78 for my birthday to get me a shot of 78-year-old single malt Highland Scotch. And I took that, and that's not a Scotch, a slam. You got to sip it a little bit. You got to enjoy it. And you know what I determined when I was all done? It tasted like 18-year-old Scotch. It didn't taste any different. So, but it was good. It was still good. So
after 20 years, it doesn't taste any different.
yeah, another 50 years on top of it, it was no different. Another 60 years on top of it.
I've had some 50-year-old bourbon that was really good. Very
Yeah.
smooth.
So
One thing I don't use shine for my throat.
well, it's Matthew Sainsbury's birthday on Monday.
Oh,
That's right. I've got it marked on my calendar, Matthew Sainsbury.
His is on Sunday.
John's is on Sunday?
He
Yep.
turns 30.
30. The big.
you need to
3,
come over Sunday morning for the Sunday morning show and have a little blackberry.
That's
There you go.
it. And wait. You mean to tell me that my twin daughters, Bryn and Abby, my twin daughters,
Yeah.
Wait,
that
you have twin
they're
daughters?
older than you? John, they just turned 30 in January.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we knew that by a couple
Yeah, I-
months.
Yeah.
His twin daughters from his previous wife.
Yeah.
Yes. My
Which
twin
one?
daughters, Bryn and Abby. There's a joke with that.
I know there is.
1, 2,
Whenever I would
3,
say to
4,
John,
5,
you know,
or
Bryn and
6.
Abby, my twin
I
daughters.
thought you only had one set of twins that were Abby and Bryn.
Just Bryn and Abby.
Oh,
Abby and Bryn, Bryn and Abby. So you're not a twin. You could be.
No dirt.
Thank you.
We're twins. We're just not the same age.
Yeah, we're twins. I still love that story of yours. I can't remember what the name was, but I'm Bobby Joe McAllister, and I can't neither read nor write.
Oh,
It was the introduction he got.
doing
My name is Billy Joe. I
rendezvous
can't
out
neither read nor
in
write.
out in West Virginia, I think it was, and it's actually Chesney who was
John
introduced this
Chesney?
way.
Okay.
Chesney's a school teacher, and he meets this guy at the bar, and the guy comes up and he goes, "My name's Billy Ray. I've lived here all my life, and I can't read nor write." He says, "Well, I'm a school teacher. I can help you with that."
And that was his introductory line. I've lived here all my life. I can't neither read nor write. Well, nice to meet you.
Oh, Matt Finn says happy early birthday.
thanks,
So,
man.
now Parkinson, moonshine goes down smooth, too smooth, until you discover you're on the roof. Not your roof, a neighbor's roof. And two, waiting to be taken up to the mothership.
Let's all
Truth.
get some ladders and check it out.
Yeah. See if you can lean it up against there. One thing, never mix moonshine with fruit juice.
Yeah.
Isn't that what this is? It's kind of a fruity, it's a blackberry
Hey, Dad,
moonshine. Yes.
open your mouth.
No, I don't do those games.
I can't remember.
So I'll
what
take
your
it though.
Grandma's
Ooh.
bottle of moonshine
So.
is.
It's mine.
Grandma's moonshine.
Yeah.
One of Uncle Dave's gifts, spray
What?
candy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Sour.
I don't do spray candy.
we opened
So
it last year.
Yeah.
what else we got going on?
No.
Yeah. Well, not every single.
Yeah, happy 30th birthday, John, says Matt Finn.
Yeah, my grandma's got a bottle of moonshine that she's had for, I want to say, 60 years.
Wow.
She cracks it open every year, has one tiny little sip of it, and puts it back on the shelf.
You know, the shine that scares me is the clear. It looks like a jar of water.
That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, and that's the powerful stuff. So
Oh,
she's
yeah.
had it for 60 years. She's been sipping out of that for 60 years, huh?
Not,
You know, a
No,
full
she
shot
doesn't
glass
do
of
it
that
every
in your
single
gas
year.
tank will help your gas run for like
Yeah.
6 years or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Good
good
stuff.
though. It's so freaking smooth.
I'll bet it is. That reminds me of the Gaelic storm song about the day that Darcy's drunken donkey won the race at Donegal. You know that one?
I don't know that one.
All right, his loss. They're up making moonshine and the something man. Comes
You know what?
in
I
Ireland.
figured out what the echo is. It's not an echo. You just say a sentence and repeat the same sentence every time.
That's it. That's it. You're right, Dave. You're right.
Oh,
Dave.
so you've met Scotty before?
So you've met Scotty before.
God.
You know, the
It's,
first thing to go is your memory. You know, the first thing to go is your memory.
My memory's the first thing to go. My memory's the first thing to go. Weird. We can do this all night, folks. Tip your waiter. Let's see. Are you going to hang on my shoulder all night?
You have a parrot.
Your whole body weight hanging on either one of my shoulders? What are you doing up? It's like 10:30.
It's Friday night.
10:42.
You're not my mom and you can't tell me what to do.
She is
There
your
you
mom,
go.
and she can't tell you what to do.
No, she can't.
The last one.
It's a good thing there's no more snow
It's
outside,
good
or
to
I
see
think I'll
you.
throw you on a snowbank right now.
Hey, there's snow at our house.
Oh,
Oh,
that's only 10 minutes away. Let's go.
yeah, it's
Can
10 minutes
you-
away. Dave
8
drives.
if I
8 minutes away. Brianna drives.
I bet I can do it in 5
You probably could.
if I could find it.
Until you get arrested.
Our house is literally across the street, remember?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but getting
you're
there
right.
from here, I'd have to use the GPS, and I drive faster than the GPS can tell me where
You
to
drive
go.
You just go up
towards
to the end of the
Quick Trip,
street.
and then you,
You
go
take a
on
left,
to the
you go up to
highway
the
and you
highway.
drive straight.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody
Well,
knows how
which
to get
Quick-
to your house from my
Which
house now.
Quick Trip?
But they don't know how to get to my house. So what else we got going on over there in the chat room, folks? Poitin is illegal here. Poteen is illegal here. 70% at least. Clear. What's the
Poutine,
most-
you can't have fries with gravy on it where you live? What?
Yeah, really. Putin.
I think he was talking
What
about
is the
fries.
most potent alcohol that you can go buy off of the shelf right now?
Everclear.
I would say it's a Russian radiator fluid. It's
What did you say, Brianna?
Everclear.
Oh,
Yeah,
Everclear.
Everclear.
Yeah, that's pretty
I've
high
drank it
in
straight.
alcoholic content.
Ugh, yeah.
Ugh.
Great in apple pie.
I was in college. It was a frat party. We were making a big 30-gallon garbage can punch for a party coming up. I'd been chopping fruit all day for it.
Jungle
They
juice.
came in with 3 cases of booze, and one of which was Everclear. I grew up in Minnesota. I'd never seen Everclear before. And I said, "What's this?" And they said, "Well, it's kind of like a mixer." And I'm like,
It's like a mixer.
and I'm like,
This is
I'm
a
like,
mixer.
is it like vodka? And I'm like taking the top off, And they're like, no, it's much stronger. As I put it to my lips and tip the bottle back, right?
The fumes burned and singed his beard.
It touches my lips, and I can feel it immediately start to evaporate. And I say to myself, "Oh my!" And as I say, "Oh my," my mouth fills with Everclear. So I put it down. I've got a mouthful of Everclear. I screw the cap on, and I'm like, okay, I can do a spit take. That could be funny. I could swallow it, and
He could just
stare
open
them.
his mouth and let it evaporate.
And so I just swallowed it, and I went, doesn't taste like vodka, and walked out of the room. And they're all like, holy crap. and I get to the bathroom, and I'm like, with water.
Nice. Well, see, that's the one thing.
Cool, though,
Absinthe,
because it was my
IOX.
first fraternity
I like
party
absinthe.
with these guys, and I was like, I don't want to, look
I,
like an idiot.
It's a guy code thing. If we drink something that's too strong for us and makes us want to retch, you drink it down, you go, that's not so bad. You stand there for a minute, you kind of let the burn follow through, because you can't, as a guy, you can't go, oh, that's just way too much for me.
There's an ending to this story. 3 weeks after the party, I had moved the kegerator to clean underneath it, and I found an apple wedge that had been in the punch. It was still white. It had not browned.
Nice. Good, preserved quite well.
I permanently pickled my insides, as far as I'm sure.
Nice.
As far as I'm concerned.
Niall said, I have so much fun thanks to Steve Clark. And the entire Roberts family are going to be in a coma for 2 days.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad.
It won't be that bad. We'd have to drink
We
a
drank
lot more
a little bit
than the shot we did.
I had about that much.
Yeah, I had roughly half of this. So, well,
I'll just have 2 fingers.
I'll just 2 fingers full, please. So, what are you shaking your head at? So, absinthe is good. Martha Stewart called absinthe a fashionable drink. Just so you know, IOX. So you get the approval of Martha Stewart.
Emily Post does not approve of absinthe.
Doesn't she?
People act undignified at parties after they've drank it.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, Martha Stewart said it's fashionable.
Well, she's been to prison, so.
So Dave and I are here arguing point counterpoint with Emily Post and Martha Stewart.
Jane, you ignorant
slut. That's the word he used.
I know he is.
Oh, somebody got on me because I used that as somebody was trying to insult me.
Rin or Abby had posted something, and he did a point counterpoint thing on one of their sites, and those millennial snowflakes completely lost their crap. And it's like, we started running clips from SNL. This is an old SNL bit. You kids are too young to remember when SNL was funny.
Well, I ran the clip after I said, Jane, you ignorant slut, in a post. And they go, oh, we can't believe. Oh, they just tore into me. I said, do you not know where that came from? Do you not know that that's comedy? And so I posted the Saturday Night Live from, 1978, 79.
And I posted one, and somebody, yeah.
And they're like, that doesn't matter. So a lot of their friends don't like me. I'm a white old guy from Wisconsin. You can't label anybody. You're a racist if you say anything. You are all these different things, but it's okay for them to be ageist, racist. And let's see, what else were they? Because they said I was an old ageist, white, racist,
immature, underdeveloped,
male, which is sexist, and all of those things. So they had 3 of those right in. Just
we're totally tolerant of everybody except.
Yeah.
And then they start
old
listing all
white guys
that
from Wisconsin. So,
well, yeah, I'm not from Wisconsin. I'm from
young
Minnesota.
people, IOX says she is an ex. Knows her Pruno.
Are you not able to read?
Are you having shine over there too, Iowa X? She's an ex, so she knows her Pruno. But then he goes on to say, young people soaked in porn and gore media are so sensitive.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yes, they
I don't
are.
understand. That entire age group is lost to us.
That's like John and Bree, soaked in porn and gore and media, and they're so sensitive.
Al Gore?
No, I don't want to be soaked in Al Gore.
Well,
So-
Scotty knows I'm not a snowflake.
no, John is no snowflake. So,
Brianna's just going, oh my
oh,
God.
Pruno is prison homemade booze, says Iowa X. He's got his own family label. So that's what I'd call something if I was to brew it. We call it Pruno. So Niall, sure, anytime.
If I brewed something, I'd call it rum.
Rub?
Rum.
Rum.
That's what I would brew. If I
That's
was
what I
Sounds like it's one of those alcohols that's made with spit.
See, that doesn't appeal to me at all.
No,
When
not me either. I chewed on this nut all day and spit it in this here bottle, and now you can drink it.
you can drink it,
Okay.
we've been spitting in this here bottle for
Good.
about 4 weeks.
I'm giving up this stuff for Lent.
It was like Anthony Bourdain when he would travel and he would visit some of these tribes or these little villages out in the bush. And that's this, they have this big vat of stuff that you were drinking. And he said, it really kind of turned me off when I realized that this was the spittle of 30 different men accumulated over the last week and fermented or whatever, however long it was. He says, but I gave it a try.
That's nothing. When you're out at sea and you're in the doldrums, you drink another man's weed.
It's like, I'm sorry, I would risk offending the village elder by not drinking that.
I thought you smoked weed.
So I'm not talking about weed.
You said
Weed.
We.
Get your head out of the gutter, Rainey.
Okay.
That was
You'll grow up
Rowan.
someday, and you'll
Oh.
understand. What's the matter over there, Bree?
We're talking about growing up, then I guess we're not talking about you.
I guess we're not. Oh boy, such a cutting insult. So cutting. So
What a little ham.
here's my Brianna impression.
Oh, my eyes. I took my glasses off.
Here.
I'll put
There you
that
go.
down so I can see.
Did you not see I just handed him her glasses?
Yes, thank you.
Scotty's like, how
Those
did you do that?
How'd you do that?
Okay.
Okay, let's not.
Bald heads can touch
Thank
it.
you. Yeah,
Did you
empty
just try to
heads
put a
can
pop
too.
socket on your head?
Guess you
Should I
So-
make
oh, I thought there was somebody else coming
Rowan,
in.
should I make your dad a wig out of this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
since he's so bald right here.
Hey, pretty soon I'm going the full Picard.
No, you're not.
If it's gonna get thinner and thinner, we're gonna.
Should we
We're gonna have
color
to go
your
the full
hair again?
Picard.
Finally, you can make you wear
What,
Grandma
Rainey?
Netta's wig then.
Get some spray hair and put it
What,
up
Rainey?
there.
Oh, I thought you did.
What are you eating?
I did.
What were your thoughts? So there you go.
You're either called Dick. Dick's just going to be your own your new name.
If I
Wait,
shave my
Wait,
head,
so instead of calling
so
him
bald
Dad,
guys are all dicks.
No, you don't get to call him that.
No.
oh,
So anyway,
No, your head's just going to look like a giant, tiny penis.
a giant tiny penis is what my head will look like. She said. Okay,
How can it be
That
giant
makes sense.
and tiny?
I'm trying to put that all together.
Tiny at the tip.
What if I just shaved a stripe down the center and then two little round spots back here?
Why? Before, oh yeah. Such love and admiration and respect from my wife and my friends.
Figure it out all you want. I get to call you names.
What if it all just, so you just wanted to get patchy and thin? You're okay with that?
It
already is.
It already is.
I was going to say,
Look at that.
get,
So this is better than going bald?
Oh, from certain angles, it looks great.
From certain angles, yeah. I'm like a Michelangelo.
When the light doesn't
Sculpture,
shine
they were
through
only-
it, it looks fine.
Just
They
walk
were
down
only
the. You need
compositionally
to walk.
perfect
Learn to
from
walk
one
down the
angle.
street slightly sideways.
We can make you wear Grandma Netta's wig.
No, you can't.
Yes, we can.
No, you
Yes.
really can't.
Yes, I can.
You're being too familiar.
Oh my god.
No,
Yes.
we will not get Grandma's wig. I will not put that on my head. Mm-mm. I don't put wigs on my head that belong to other people. So it's not going to happen. Now, Ro can all she wants. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Let go, you're gonna break it.
Stop pulling on it then.
Yeah.
Stop pulling on
Go
it.
shut your laptop. It's going to bed.
There you go.
Do you have my phone?
No.
Children.
Put on my crotch. I'm gonna pee.
And this is why
Scintillating
we don't
radio.
broadcast this portion.
Oh, did we turn the
Perfect time to
broadcast
bring up
off?
Jesus triumph or turning water into wine, says Niall. What a party that must have been. Any chance of more wine, Jesus? Here's more water. Well, and it said that they
Jesus,
said it
we's
was,
out of wine. Could you get some blackberry brandy? And
you turn this wine to blackberry hooch, please. Wasn't it they said that it was the we see the guest said after he turned the water to wine, we see you've saved the best wine for late in the night. So he made some pretty good wine apparently. So she needs more moonshine. My
No, she
daughter-
doesn't.
No, she doesn't. So
how much of your candy did you eat today?
All of it.
Oh,
it's sugar high. She'll come down around 2 a.m. So
Go run up the side of the house.
Coors Rocky Mountain goat piss, said Steve Clark. I'm with you right there.
I agree with that. That ain't beer, but it's what beer looks like when I'm done with it.
Yeah. Yes, my dear.
I found sexy
Go shut
Squidward.
your stuff off.
Okay. Yeah, he's
Rainy,
back
did
here.
you find your phone?
Rain. Oh, you're still looking for your phone? I'd call it, but you never have your ringer on.
Yeah, Mom.
Well, then I'll stop dialing it.
I call her.
Tell Rainey to grab her phone and call it.
Okay, I will dial it then.
I'm calling.
So
Just here for the vibration.
we've still got about at least 10 people in the chat room, believe it or not, after this tomfoolery of the last hour.
Found it.
Oh, you found it?
Found it?
Okay, good.
Yep. All right, bye.
Oh, Brianna found it.
You're welcome.
It was in Ellie Belly's room.
Yeah. What can I do for you?
Rowan, it's time for bed.
Bye.
Go lay down. I will
You
come
keep
lay
coming
down
and
again.
sticking your face in my face. What can I do for you?
Rowan, I'm gonna fart in your face.
I will kick
I think
you.
it's time for you to go to bed.
If you can move
I won't
me.
leave without giving you a hug. I'll come and give you a hug before I leave.
Yeah.
Bye.
Uncle Dave will give you a hug. So will I.
Say, go get a hug now, only because I don't want to be woken up if you're done in 3 hours.
That's right. There it is.
Here, let me
It's
move
all-
the
this is-
camera down.
This is what we've got, folks. It's what we've got. This is the show. These are the jokes, folks. These are the jokes. I love a good German beer, said Steve Clark. I love German beer. I like to drink it with my schnitzel. I like a whole plate full of schnitzel. like
I have
English
recipe to make
schnitzel.
that.
Do you?
What?
You should come over and make your schnitzel, and we will have some German beer with your schnitzel. That sounds so naughty. What else is there than schnitzel? There's schnitzel, there's Venus with schnitzel, there's kraut with schnitzel, schnitzelkraut. There is Fleischen schnitzel. There's, what is the dessert?
You're in Wisconsin. People are going to be
German
burning stuff in your
dessert.
front yard.
We have
Be
schnitzel.
careful.
We have. I could wear my lederhosen.
Please don't.
Well, Brianna, you should wear your lederhosen and come and make some schnitzel. And I will provide the German beer.
Yeah.
You make a strudel for breakfast.
Strudel. That's what I was looking for. You could bring the schnitzel, and I will provide the German beer. You wear the lederhosen, and then for breakfast, you make us
Strudel.
strudel. Strudel. See? You went to that fancy French strudel cordon bleu. You can
Yeah.
make us, you can cook us.
I'm
a
still
good
paying
one.
on it.
Don't what?
I'm still paying for it.
Oh, that sucks.
Remind me when we're off the air to tell you a very inappropriate joke.
We can tell it on the air.
No.
No, Dave says. No.
No. It
Don't
was an
goad me
improv-
into that
it was
one,
one of those
Scotty.
improvisational jokes that just sort of came about, and everybody in the room looked at me like
What didn't you just say?
I should be beaten.
Or those are those times where it's really noisy until you say the most inappropriate part of what you're saying. And then he sank his face right in. And you look around and everybody's quiet and you go, outside voice.
Non sequiturs. That's what we at,
Non
at,
sequiturs,
at big theater parties. We always look for them. You know, the entire room's
Oh, and there
huge
she has her hand in her
cacophony
pants.
of noise, and then it's completely silence, and you hear, "Looks like a human penis, only smaller." It's like, everyone's like, "What?"
I've heard that one.
What the hell are they talking about?
I love a good German beer, says Steve Clark. We had a bit that we did with 10 Seconds of Harmony on that. What kind of beer should we have today? Not German beer. No, we don't want this beer or that beer. We settled on Dutch beer. And I said, oh, Dutch beer. I said, I had some Dutch beer once when I was in Amsterdam. I said, you were in Amsterdam?
Oh my god.
Yes, I went to Amsterdam. I said, I have a horror story from Amsterdam. You have a horror story from Amsterdam? Yes, I do. I was walking down the street, and I saw a dike when I came to the corner. You saw a dike in Amsterdam? Yes, I did. Well, what did you do? Well, I walked over closer. I wanted to get a close look. Well, what was the dike doing? Well, I looked at it, and it was leaking from a hole. You saw a dike in Amsterdam leaking from a hole? Yes, I did. Well, what did you do next? Why, I stuck my finger in the hole, of course. Well, did that stop it from leaking? No, it just built up more pressure. And so I tried the fist. The fist didn't plug. The fist didn't plug. No,
I don't like where this
stick
is
my whole
going.
damn arm up inside of it. Still didn't plug the dike. And the story goes on. So that all came off of German beer. Uh-oh. Jesus, the wine is great. Can we have more? But Jesus spoke in parables, saying, when the fox cooks his eggs, the chickens will gather. No, not now, Jesus. The wine. So there it is. That's from Niall Parkinson. That's a good Irish parable. So, do we have anything worthwhile to talk about? Or are we just kind of
Doing the Wisconsin or Midwest goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave and I, when we've been on the last 2 Fridays, it goes like 2 and 3 hours. So, is anybody up for 2 more hours since we've got 2 out of the way? 2 down, 2 to go.
Oh my God.
I have a bunch of homework to finish.
All right. So
You have
we're at Grand
homework.
Lodge. We're at Grand Lodge last week,
Yeah.
and they were discussing Kennedy and his Berlin speech.
Oh, ich bin ein Berliner.
Which
Excuse me.
I'm a jelly donut.
I'm a jelly donut.
So somebody was explaining that, and as soon as he finished saying it, this is the way my brain works, because it literally popped into my head and went out my mouth without a governor. He said, ich bin ein Berliner, and that really meant I'm a jelly donut. And I said, and like any jelly donut, he got it all over the back of that Lincoln.
Oh boy. There's sensitivity at its best. Too soon.
Got that filling all over the back of that Lincoln, I said.
Only been 60
Oh, my
years.
That's what I said. Hey, it's been 58 years. That's how old I am, and that's when he died.
Barbie D says, "Be well, Brianna." Are you going, Barbie D? Because Brianna's staying here. She's sticking up. She's sticking around as long as we are.
She's trying to hide in that hoodie, though.
Yeah.
I burped.
Yeah. Thanks for protecting us from it. And you're yawning too.
I've been up since 4:40.
Really? You too? Yeah. My sleep schedule is just weird.
I got up at the crack of 10 today.
I didn't take a nap today, though. I could have.
I tried.
Well, I did. I took a nap I woke up at 3, and I thought, why the hell am I awake? And I was wide awake. And I sat up and I felt like making coffee. And I'm like, no. I started drinking coffee. And I thought, I'm going to try to go back to sleep. I lay there, literally. I lay there for about an hour and 15 minutes.
I was awake at 3. I hadn't even started to go to bed yet.
Yeah, I was on the other end of that.
This is why I sleep until 10. But
So finally, I think around 4:15 or so, I fell back to sleep. And then I woke up again. I got up at 6 and made coffee. Then I had some coffee. I thought, I'm up now. Then that's when I remembered the kids don't have to get up and go to school today because it's Good Friday. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll crawl back in. I was going to take a shower, and I thought, nah, I'll take it after I crawl back in. So I crawl back in. And I wake up at like 9:30. So I slept from like 6:30 to 9:30. 2.5 to 3 more hours. Now I've been up since 9:30. But I don't even know what kind of sleep I got last night. So that's why I like this Fitbit that I wear. Because like other nights, I have just shown. I can just check it right here. I just go in here, enter my password. Oops. That's not my password. That was weird. Let's see. If I go in here, I can go over to Fitbit. Last night, let's see. Well, I guess I slept a whole lot more than I thought I did. It says last night, I went to bed. God, how many of these are last night?
your memory's that bad that you have to
Thursday
look it
night.
up on a device?
Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't remember when I fell into REM sleep. So I got to look it up. Let's see. I slept from 11:44 to 3:41. So 3 hours and 38 minutes, it says I slept last night. Then today, midnight to 3 a.m. Another 3 hours. Oh, that Thursday was yesterday morning, early. So last night, 11:52 to 3:18, 3 hours is what it's got me as sleeping. Then it has me sleeping for another 3 hours and 9 minutes from 6 o'clock till 9:30. There you go. So that's what I slept today. 6 hours and 8 minutes in total. Boom. That's what's kind of cool about this app. You can track what kind of sleep you're getting. And it tells me when I got the best sleep. During that first 3 hours, I had 3 hours total. Time of sleep was 29 minutes out of that 3 hours. Deep and REM was 13 minutes. Restorative sleep was 13 minutes. So that was last night.
I have to go and work on the painting.
Not that you guys need to know that. It's just an interesting little app that it traces the way you sleep.
I didn't wear mine last night, but it says I went to bed at 9:30.
9:30?
Because that's when I put my phone on the nightstand.
I have to spend tomorrow in a fairy forest, so.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Bring the breadcrumbs. So I'm usually up all night, says Steve Clark, and sleep about 3 hours starting at noon. Boom.
I saw that.
Your body clock is all screwed up. That's Dave's mural that he's working on, folks. Is that a QR code?
No, it's an electrical box. All that whole thing is going to be lit with little tiny seed lights all over the place up in to make
very cool.
Make fireflies and such.
Sounds fun.
So
absolutely, insomnia sucks. So let's do it, says Niall Parkinson. So
I usually easy
for you to say.
What about Jesus?
I usually fall asleep around 11:30, and then I'm up at 1:30.
Yuck. Then you got to be up at 5 to go to work.
Yeah, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30.
I have to sleep for 4 hours a night.
I'll wake up at 5 again.
I average about 4 hours. I would like to sleep more. I wonder what my life would be like if I could sleep 7 hours a night, solid.
Look at all the time you'd lose.
Well, yeah, but happens anyway. There's times in the middle of the day I'll be sitting here staring at my computer working, and I'm just
all your talk about horror stories.
Yeah,
you got me started on a thing called the House in Croker Field. It's a ghost story I'm doing about a group of kids that there's this farmhouse, this abandoned farmhouse
in Croker Field.
And one kid, his farm is relatively near it, so he knows where Croker Field is. And it starts with them, they're in school, and they're talking about the house in Croker Field because there was recently a thing on TV about it. And they're talking, we should go investigate this thing. And he and his buddy are little geeks, and they're into the ghost adventures and all that stuff. And so they put together a team, and they go into the house, and stuff starts to happen. So
neat.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good little scaring tale.
I started writing. Was it here on the radio I was talking about this, or somewhere else to somebody? I started writing a book a while back, working on a novel that I gave up on just for time. But it was about a guy who's an artist. He's an illustrator, story writer. And he was getting, his young son had disappeared. And
where'd
they
Fling
were
go?
searching for him. What's that?
Where'd Fling go?
Yeah,
where'd Fling go? Autobiographical, is it?
He'd be like a 4 or 5 year old son. And they find his body, of course, months later. And he's devastated. It destroys his marriage with his wife. And as his life goes on, in a couple of years, he starts getting these visitations from a little boy. He'd see him in the hallway. He'd like, who are you? And the boy would run. And so there'd be all these little visitations he started to get. And the boy never quite revealed himself to the man, but he kept appearing. And it turns up that he keeps leaving him clues. to find the person who had abducted his son and killed him. And so it turns out that this whole story is him interacting with this little boy. And then this little boy starts bringing other little boys around. And suddenly he'd have 2 or 3 little boys. That would
Is his name Peter?
No, Peter. And so there was several boys that would appear to him, and they were always in the dark. He was always a bit shaded. And the information they would pass on to him wasn't always in like conversation. It would be like somebody left an origami bird and set it on his nightstand. And these were all clues that led him to try to find this person. And it turns out that the boy, and I can tell you this because I haven't written it, and I may never get to it the rate I go, but the little boy, he thought it was his son. And it wasn't until the very end that this little boy spirit brings around another little boy that ends up being his son. And he's saying, well, who is this little boy who's been guiding me all this time? And it ends up being an earlier form of himself as a young boy because of abuse he had got through and so on, that he comes and visits him. And I explain how that all works in the story, but I never finished writing it. And I was originally going to do it as a graphic novel and a comic book. Then I wanted to write it as a novel, and I just never pursued it. That was at least 15 years ago, something like that, maybe more. It might have been before I even knew Rainey.
I have a great idea for a graphic novel we should work together on.
Niall, I have not ordered that book yet. I want to order that book, but it had to wait till I had some funds to do it with. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to order it, though. I want to read that. So, sleep is overrated, said Steve Clark. It is. I think the need for sleep is overrated, though sleep is kind of nice. There's times I'm like, if I didn't have to sleep, do you know how much I could get done?
Which is why I only sleep for 4 hours a night.
Yeah, that's why my whole life I've been the same way. Rarely slept very long because my mind was always going. I always had things to do.
I get a great deal of procrastination done by only sleeping for 4 hours a night.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, I could get a lot done if I didn't have to sleep. So now I kind of like sleep. There's certain times where I'm just dragging my ass from this chair up the stairs during the day. And I'm like, Jesus, I got to go to sleep. I got to sleep.
Is
I'm
it
falling
from 3
asleep on my
p.m. until
computer.
4:30 p.m.?
What's that?
Is it 3:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m.?
It's about 3 to 4. Or Rainey and I will have lunch between noon and 1 o'clock or something. And we're sitting on the sofa watching something. And the next thing I know, I open my eyes and kids are coming home from school. It's like 3:30. I'm like, what? So I slept for 2 hours. And I just fall out. Gone.
I tried to take a nap and Harley got into a Sharpie today.
Nice.
Oops.
All over her face.
Professor Bauer is here. Did you just get here, Professor Bauer, or have you been here? I have to wake up so I can take a nap. That's pretty much it. There's times I wake up and I wake up tired. I'm just like, why'd my body wake me up if I still need sleep? I'll get up and I'll be woozy, dizzy. And it's like, what the hell? Why am I woozy and dizzy? I just slept for, 2.5 hours. So I would love nothing more than to be able to, and I've been this way my whole life, love nothing more than to be able to sleep for 8 hours. I can't do it. My brain just wakes me up. Drive-by, he says. Oh, this is a drive-by. Good to see you. I'm glad we were still going. We could stop in. We have some people that are regular. If you're one of these people out there, folks, I'm not chiding you. Hush the thought. But there are some people we have that are regulars to the show that regularly show up about 3 minutes before the end of the show.
Here, Steve, is this better?
There he goes, Viking now.
No, he said it
Great.
reminds him of the
Brianna's usually here longer.
headmaster of Hogwarts.
So
Dumbledore.
I'm like, is there a different show? Are you watching a different show? And you just come into this show at the end of that one? I don't know what it is. So
I often totally forget about you
Because they're
until,
the
oh my
same
God, it's
people
10 o'clock.
every
I should
night
chime
come
in
in
and see if
the
Scott is
last
there.
couple of minutes of the show or in the after show. Hey guys. It's like, well, where you been? We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes already. But
Well,
that
tonight
would be
it's
because
2 hours and 20 minutes.
What's that?
2 hours and 20 minutes tonight.
2 hours and 20 minutes tonight. Yeah, yes, it has been.
I'm
I thought
usually
it was
doing
always
homework. That's why I end up not jumping on right away.
Who said I was Albert Pike?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I don't care when it comes down to it. When you're on this side of the microphone or the camera, you're like, where is everybody? When you're on
Mhm.
that side, you're like, oh, do I have time to go in and I'll do it next week. I'll hit Scotty's show next week.
Pretty much the same every night, isn't it?
So, yeah, 9 o'clock every night.
No, I'm at the same show.
Pretty much the same show.
Tune in tonight, tune in next week, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. We'll be talking about something. So,
All right, I'm gonna get off and go to bed.
Really?
really? Well, don't keep your camera on for that.
Well, not that one.
Well, it's sure nice to see you.
Take John with you.
Guys.
John, she wants to get off before she goes to bed. So
I know, I heard.
I leave this in your capable hands, my brother.
It's your job, man.
I'll be sleeping.
We don't care.
Guy.
Yeah. Duh.
Pirate.
Pirate.
And plus, I'm pretty sure Harley's in the bed.
Oh, that's always fun.
They're small. You can pick them up and move them. At that age, they hardly
Yeah.
ever wake up.
She
When they're-
screams.
No, she's
It's when they're 10 and they're in your
Oh,
bed.
shut
You're like,
up.
oh my God, this is like
Go
lifting
away.
dead weight.
Kaylee in the middle of the night. Bum, 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 bum. Why is this door locked?
Because it's not your room. Go back to bed.
Yeah.
So, all right, Bree, you get off and go get some sleep.
The
And
bows
John-
go the other way over the
John,
years.
report in.
We'll see you guys.
Have a
Good
good night,
night.
guys. I
Take it
love
easy.
you. I miss you. Talk to you soon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. All right,
Well, there you go.
Dave. It's like the kids have left, and it's just you and me now.
I know.
It's an empty nest show now. Niall Parkinson says, I always had this idea of a horror story. If someone died at the heights of their happiness and refused to accept their death, they break the laws of life and death and therefore open the gates of hell. That's dark.
I think Sarah was talking about that. What did she say? What was the percentage of men that die at the peak of happiness?
Oh, yeah. The peak of happiness.
Is that what the kids is calling it these days?
It's whorehouse death. That's intriguing, Niall. I'd like to hear you break that down a little bit. So that chaos, the dying at the height of happiness, cracks open the gates of hell. That'd be interesting.
Is it too shocking to kill off a 10-year-old in a young adult book?
No, I don't think so. If you handle it properly.
I'm thinking one of the kids in the story should get killed off.
Which story?
House on Croker Field.
Oh. Yeah, why not?
I mean, right now I'm just in the outline stage, but
Remember we were talking last week, I think it was, about how kids need horror.
yeah, which is what got me going on this thing. This thing just started
Hey, Brianna.
germinating, and
See, Uncle Dave is ready for bed too, says Brianna.
yeah, I know.
So, and he's got to drive to Rochester yet tonight. Folks,
Plenty
for
of
those of
time.
you who don't live around here, Rochester's in Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It's a good hour and a half to 2 hours from here.
Hour and a half about.
Hour and a half. In the dark. Eesh. Drive safe, Brianna says.
I do that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah,
It's
he
not a big
does.
deal.
He does. Me, I got to try to make it up the stairs. So, wish me good travels. Happy trails.
If I can get out of Wisconsin without lost time, I'll be good.
Yeah, there you go. You are in UFO territory, abduction territory.
Stuff happens
here.
all the time driving through Wisconsin.
All the time in Wisconsin. Well, they have the UFO days over in Elmwood, which is less than an hour from here. Who's the writer who wrote about that? He's from around here. We met him. Flynn got to meet him and get a couple of his books. Clyde Lewis. Why can't I think of his name? I know it. My brain's just totally tired. Written a lot about paranormal cryptozoology.
You've got
stuff.
Wisconsin's full of Bigfoot sightings, werewolf sightings.
Oh, Scotty, just sleep on the sofa, says Steve Clark. No, I don't want to sleep on the sofa. That's that sofa that kids sit on that and they spill stuff on it. You clean it up, and then the dog sits on it, gets hair all over it, and
Parts on it.
it's like, no thanks. I'd rather sleep with.
Last time I slept on Scott's couch, I ended up in the hospital.
What's that?
So the last time I slept on your couch, I ended up in the hospital.
You talking about the Bloomington house?
Yeah, don't you remember?
Yeah, I do. Ambulance had to be called because he couldn't stand up.
Yeah, my back just went out completely.
Yeah.
It was awful.
All right. Well, folks, guess what? We're going to wrap this. We don't have anything more substantive to talk about tonight. Well, we do. I don't think I can wrap my head around substance anymore tonight. I could wrap my head around substance abuse. We could drink more, but
no, we can't.
No, we can't drink more. Dave can't drink more. Rainey went to bed.
Did you just tip over the
chocolates?
Oh, okay. Thought you were knocking over the shot glasses.
Not the shine. Oh, the chocolates hit the shot glass, knocked it over, but there's nothing in it. So
that would be substance abuse.
That would be substance abuse. So, folks, Steve, I might have. We're going to get out of here. I'm brain dead. I was brain dead before we started tonight. You know, you get that zone you get in.
It's very windy outside, Brianna. It's crazy
yes,
windy driving up here.
And it is supposed to be up into the 50s and 60s next week. So
yeah,
that'll be nice. And, you know, earlier in the week, you know how you can smell weather? I went outside and it smelled like spring.
Yeah,
it
did.
Smelled green outside.
And there was rain in the air. You could just we knew we were getting a thunderstorm.
And I was like, wow, this is nice. Spring is finally here. I stepped out this afternoon. It smelled like winter.
Yep. It went from a thunderstorm to a blizzard.
Yep. Now, we didn't have a blizzard here. Yeah. So, everybody take care. Stay safe.
Be good.
Brianna, have a good night. Niall, have a great rest of your night. It's like got to be close to 5 a.m. there. Maybe 6 a.m. And Professor Bauer, have a good night. And Iowa X and everybody else. And for me right now, I reached that zone I was starting to say where
they get it turned to the camera, right?
Before I even started the show tonight, I was so tired. It was like, oh my God, am I going to make it? And then you snap into, adrenaline kicks in or something, and now I'm about ready to fall over. So I got nothing left.
He's an old
So,
man.
Yeah, I'm
Gotta
an
get him
old guy.
tucked in.
That's right. I don't need no tucking in. All right, guys, you all have a good night. I want to thank you all for being here, hanging out with us for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it was, hour and a half. Thanks. And you know what? Live long and prosper. And I will see you guys all probably on Sunday morning, Easter morning. See you later.